Run It Back Nation, what is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly, no frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Algo gang, do your thing, man. Hit the like button. Us content creators are working very hard to give you the content for free. All we ask is that you pay us by smashing that like button. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. 30% of people that watch these shows are not subscribed. That's fraudulent behavior. This is a no fraud zone. All right, the Philadelphia 76ers win 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row, the Sixers win for the first time this season. Obviously, they get 2 wins, and it erases everything we've been saying for the past, what feels like a month of the beginning of the season, right? When they're with the 0-3 start, 1-3, 1-4. We weren't very happy to start the season. We weren't very happy with how the team looked to start the season. We weren't very happy with how the effort looked from certain players. And they turn that around in 2 games. They take out the Toronto Raptors on Friday night in Toronto without Joel Embiid on the back of a ridiculous Tyrese Maxey 44-point game that I did a little bit of a recap on yesterday. I can't remember. My weekend was such a blur, man. Had 2 Halloween parties. You know what I mean. I'm still recovering. It's Monday. And then they go from Toronto to Chicago, and they take care of the Chicago Bulls 114-99, 114-109. Sorry, 114-99 would have been nice. 114-109. Come on, Eastwood. 114-109 in Chicago on the back of Joel Embiid, 25-point performance, but a game-winning 3-point shot with about 18 seconds on the clock. So we get 2 W's. Looking at the box score, man, it's still, interesting to see the fluctuation of performances. I love the fact that Tyrese Maxey steps up when Joel Embiid's out. Then Joel Embiid steps back in, and Tyrese Maxey goes 5 for 14, puts up 14 points in 30 minutes, 29 minutes and 17 seconds. But in that third quarter, when we were going back and forth, when we were on the seesaw, Embiid's on the bench, Tyrese Maxey was stepping up. I feel like he had about 8 points in the third quarter. I'll just check to be sure right here. Tyrese Maxey 4 for 10 for 11 points in the third quarter. So most of Tyrese Maxey's damage did come in the third quarter. That is a nice balance to have a third option who's as good of a scorer and as multifaceted of a scorer as Tyrese Maxey is, that who can, provide that spark deep in the third quarter when the game's close and when James Harden and Joel Embiid are on the bench. And, Doc Rivers and the staff just figuring out how to stagger it, how to give who the minutes, who should have the ball at what time, things like that. We knew there was going to be growing pains. We knew there was going to be moving parts. It seems like the last 2 games, the team has just looked like they've made more sense. And I definitely have seen a lot more effort flat out on the defensive end and the rebounding and the transition defense out of this team in general. So maybe they had some serious meetings and said, hey guys, listen, you don't even look like you want to play. You don't even look like you care. You're out here jogging around, giving up wide open backdoor cuts and touchdown passes on transition defense. You know what? Why don't you show everybody that you give a shit and show us some effort? So they've showed some effort in the last 2 games. Just some notes that I took on the Bulls-Sixers game after watching the recap. I feel like I saw about 4 or 5 James Harden and Embiid pick and rolls in this game early in the first quarter, and that's obviously, do what you're good at. Do what works. It's not rocket science. Do what works. And the Embiid Harden pick and roll is unstoppable. We've talked about it before. We talk about it all the time. It's not easy to guard James Harden around the screen. It's impossible, basically, to guard Joel when he's actually rolling to the rim. I saw Joel Embiid rolling all the way to the rim in this game rather than popping out to the elbow and the flat. Or the block or the wing, whatever you want to call it. I saw him rolling all the way to the basket a lot more in this game, and it leads to easy buckets. It's very, very difficult to stop James Harden, one of the best ball handlers, flat out scorers, pick and roll facilitators in the history of the game, and a guy the size and skill set of Joel Embiid rolling to the rim. So keep doing it. So I liked what I saw that. I saw more fight from Joel Embiid in this game. He had a big offensive rebound over 2 defenders in the first quarter. So, he looks like he cares now. I don't know what the hell was going on the first couple games, but, maybe somebody kicked him in the ass. Maybe somebody lit a fire under. Maybe somebody, smacked him around a little bit and said, hey, get your head in the game. He looked like he's, back in it and really giving effort and, not being lazy on defense and crashing the boards and hustling for offensive rebounds. So I like that. Also, Embiid, moving more. Last place, the slowest team in the NBA as far as pace goes, and most of that is because we start the season out with a 37% usage rate for Joel Embiid. We're basically just trying to force it down to him on the block the whole game. Again, like it took Doc Rivers 5-6 games to adjust, but he did adjust. But I still, when I think about it, I can't figure out how that was your game plan coming into the season with everything that you added this offseason. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me when I look at it, but they start the season the way they started, and now they've made adjustments, which should have just been how they played the game from game one, but it is what it is. I'm noticing Joel Embiid moving a lot more, scoring a lot more off of assists versus just ISO post-ups, which, leads to being the slowest paced team in the league. So Joel moving more, Joel scoring more off of assists, not being so ball dominant and running out shot clocks. Guess what? That speeds up the game. That keeps the ball moving. That increases our pace. That helps everything. So I liked what I saw as far as what Embiid was doing in this game, kind of how the offense ran through James Harden and Tyrese Maxey on the perimeter, even Tobias Harris catching and shooting threes, PJ Tucker in the corner, and Joel just kind of roaming around the paint, getting his shots where he gets them, not being so ball dominant. So I think that's good. I think that's a step in the right direction. Shake and Matisse Thybulle got minutes in the first quarter. That's interesting. Where the hell did that come from? We're going to talk about that too in a minute because, the lineups in the first 5 games of this season were not working. They were not working, and we were sitting here saying, you got to change something, bro. You have to change something. You can't continue going like this. It ain't working. And we're like, is Doc Rivers, is the old dinosaur, is the old stubborn, narcissistic dinosaur Doc Rivers going to adjust and change his lineups by way of some kind of miracle? He did. He adjusted his bench rotations, and I got to be honest, it changes the whole energy of the game. Matisse Thybulle played 20 minutes in this game. He had over 20 minutes last game, I believe, and that seems totally random. When you play the first 4 games and, your best defender, your most athletic player on the entire team, you're getting out-hustled, out-rebounded, your transition defense is terrible, your pace is terrible, your perimeter defense is horrendous. You say, oh yeah, we have Matisse Thybulle on the bench. I guess I should have been playing him, the first 4 games. So Doc Rivers finally admits, we'll live with his shooting woes, but we need him in the game because our perimeter defense has been atrocious for 5 games now. So you play Matisse 2 games in a row, 20 minutes a pop, you get 2 W's out of it. And I'm going to play a clip about what Doc Rivers said when he was asked why he suddenly started playing Matisse Thybulle. It's very interesting. Maxey's run the end of the third quarter, had a steal and an and one. Then he drives, has a big-time Euro step finish up and under. Then he has a drive and a floater through contact. Should have had the foul there, too. Like I said, he dropped 11 in the third. Huge run by Tyrese Maxey. I'm liking the chemistry. I'm liking, these instances in a game where you're resting Joel, you're resting James, or maybe James is out there, but, just finding parts of the game where Tyrese Maxey can control the offense and do his thing. You get 44 from him when Embiid doesn't play, but Embiid's going to come back. Maxey's not going to be in control of the show. You're not going to get 35, 40 points from him again. It just is what it is. It's great to have 2, 3, 4 high-level scorers on a basketball team. So just getting in where you fit in and finding the parts of the game where Tyrese Maxey can really attack and affect the game. I like what I'm seeing as far as the staggering in these last 2 games, and especially the staggering in the Bulls game. I like it. Harden had a terrible shooting game all around, but he did have 11 assists. He was moving the ball all over the floor and had a post turnaround fadeaway with 5 minutes left to tie the game. A post turnaround fadeaway over Alex Caruso, James Harden has. So he's adding a mid-range to his game. Now he's backing players down and shooting post fades. I like it. And, those kind of things that James is adding to his game is going to age well. As your athleticism declines, as you slow down, you get into your mid-30s. You're not going to be blowing by everybody. You're not going to have that lightning quick speed that you used to have. You got to add more of an old man game. Now he's doing dribble pull-ups from the mid-range. He's backing people down and doing a turnaround fadeaway. So I liked what I saw from James Harden. Wasn't a good shooting night. Again, he was 2 for 13. He was 0 for 5 from 3, but he had 6 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, and 15 points. So, I guess we can say there wasn't a pecking order. I guess we can say that finally we saw a game that looked balanced, that just looked like the team was moving the ball around, finding the open guy, and whoever ends up with the open shot, whoever ends up with the hot hand is the one that's going to lead the team in scoring. Not a pecking order, not Joel 1, James 2, Maxey 3. Just play the damn game of basketball, move the ball, share the ball, find the open shooter, play defense, hustle and rebound, and you will be okay. And then you get a simple Embiid Harden pick and pop with 18 seconds left, and Embiid just shoots a 3 and splashes it. He did, 2 years ago, he shot over 40% from 3. I think he was like high 30% last season. He's a good three-point shooter. He's a great three-point shooter for his size. I'll take that all day, every day. He had a game winner last year in the playoffs against the Miami Heat, I want to say, or maybe it was the Toronto Raptors. I think it was the Toronto Raptors series. But yeah, you can't leave him wide open for 3. And a simple pick and pop is going to work every time. And honestly, if you watch the play, if that defender steps up, PJ Tucker's hanging out in the corner wide open too. So there's an option there if they decide to guard and beat on that pick and pop. So I really, that not only is the pick and roll hard to stop, that pick and pop with the game on the line is hard to stop too. So I was happy about that too. Now look, I want to play you a clip because Doc Rivers was asked about why he suddenly played Matisse Thybulle in these past 2 games. And it's funny because, we saw after one game how bad the transition defense was, how bad the perimeter defense was, and we said, you need some athleticism on the floor. Where's Paul Reed? Where's Matisse Thybulle? Paul Reed's still getting shelved. We don't know why. But at least Doc said, hey, I do need to play some Matisse Thybulle up in here. And here's a YouTube video explaining what he said. And it is nothing short of interesting.
In the post-game press conference on NBC Sports Philadelphia, Doc Rivers was asked why Thybulle got so much playing time. His response: I read this article by somebody and I thought, oh my goodness, I gotta play Matisse tonight. The Sixers coach gave his initial answer in a joking manner, but, coincidentally, Brian Tapor...
So instead of just saying, my lineups weren't working, I needed to change something up, he takes a sly little shot at the media. He does like a metaphoric... I played him because you guys know what you're talking about, and you guys told me to play him. That's why I played him. He takes his stab at the media because he's mad when we're right. He's mad when we're right. Like, he can't handle it. He can't handle the fact that he wasn't doing something. We said, why aren't you doing this? Then he does it, and it works. He does not like being wrong. So he had to just take a little jab at the media. He had to. Anyway.
Of Liberty Ballers did write about the possibility of Thybulle playing more before the game. Rivers then gave a longer answer to the question. We started the season, we thought we liked the rotation we were gonna have, and honestly, it wasn't working for us, the Sixers coach said. So, we decided as a staff, we needed to add a defense guy to our group.
Wow. Absolute rocket science.
The key for him is, there's gonna be teams that try to game plan him and not guard him. And he's worked on his shot and he's just gotta keep shooting it. I was really proud of him. Rivers has said that he wants to add someone to the Sixers rotation, which would firmly make it a 10-man group. Thybulle is...
See, why do you have a set-in-stone rotation anyway? Like, that's a problem. I think that's a problem too. He said he wants to add someone to the Sixers rotation, which would make it a 10-man group. Why don't you just call the game as you see it, bro? Adapt as the game is going on. You basically straight up admitted that you had a set rotation for the first 5 games. And then finally, when you're 1-4, you realize, oh, this ain't working. We need to adjust. Is it that hard to just adjust at halftime of game 2? Anyway, that is that. The Sixers play the Wizards tonight at 7. Phillies World Series, obviously. So again, we're not going to have a Sixers post-game live show tonight. There will be a recap, maybe later tonight, but probably tomorrow morning. And then when the World Series is finally over, we'll be back in the routine of really banging out the Sixers post-game live shows. One more thing One more thing that I saw, on Saturday that really irritated me and really proves that Doc Rivers is the worst development coach I've ever seen in my life. He absolutely refuses to develop young talent. Isaiah Joe gets released by the Sixers. Oklahoma City picks him up right away. They picked him up, I felt like, within 6 hours. Okay, so which tells me you could have traded him for at least a second-round pick, maybe. Anyway, OKC picks him up. They says, we'll take this young shooter for sure. OKC's losing to the Dallas Mavericks with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a game. Isaiah Joe checks into the game. Isaiah Joe, in the fourth quarter and overtime, goes 4 for 4 from the three-point line. Has 15 points in 9 minutes. Is a plus 24 in 9 minutes off the bench to help the Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Dallas Mavericks, and had a massive clutch three-pointer in overtime. So it just goes to show, these players have talent. These players can play. Doc Rivers does not give them opportunities. Doc Rivers does not know how to develop young talent. He did it in Boston. He did it in Orlando. He did it in L.A. Terrence Mann, like we said the other day, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander didn't even get playing time until he was traded to OKC. He wasn't going to play Tyrese Maxey until Ben Simmons quit. Maxey saved Game 5 in the Atlanta Hawks series. Shake Milton saved Game 6. Game 7, he went with 45-year-old George Hill. So last year, Dan Burke takes over for 4 games. He gets 18 points out of Isaiah Joe in one game. He gets 11 points out of Isaiah Joe the next. He gets 12 rebounds and 5 blocks out of Charles Bassey. Doc Rivers comes back. You don't see those guys again for the rest of the season, and then they both get cut. So shout out to Isaiah Joe for going to another team, getting the hell out from underneath the chokehold that is Doc Rivers on young talent, and making something happen in OKC. Now I'm sitting around waiting to see what Charles Bassey does in San Antonio, because I think you're just going to continue to see that these young guys had potential, and Doc Rivers just absolutely refuses to give them a chance. Anyway, Sixers win 2 in a row. We'll see what happens against the Washington Wizards tonight. And go Phillies. And the Philadelphia Eagles are 7-0, and I don't see any team that's even looking like they're going to slow us down on the football field. So let's go. Thanks for tuning in, man. Y'all have a good day.